The Midday, weekdays 1 to 3 p.m.
QBS Special Guest.
Welcome back to the Midday Show. Time now is 2:09 here in the studio, and we're just about ready to kickstart our conversation with our very special guest right here in the studio. So today we are joined by Ahood Al-Tawil, an exceptional creative mind and a familiar voice to many of you because she previously shared her insights with us on Voices of Qatar, which is hosted by Katie Maj. So yeah, we're thrilled to welcome her back on the Midday Show. She is a VCU Arts Qatar graduate and a graphic designer at Qatar Museums for nearly 13 years. She's a true force in the local creative scene, and Ahood has recently founded Sukoon, a space dedicated to mindfulness and reconnection. We're very excited to hear from her today about her journey and a campaign that captured the hearts of a nation, which is Dawam. It's also put a lot of people in panic when they first saw it. They're like, what is this? What are you talking about? So welcome to the show, Ahood. Thank you for making time for us today.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me again.
Now, we're just going to get straight into it. So you've spent nearly 13 years at Qatar Museums, a place that's all about celebrating culture. Now, how did your experience in graphic design and communication essentially shape your role in Qatar Museums when it comes to projects with a deep cultural or community focus?
Actually, the first years at QM, it was a bit challenging because what I studied is basically just studying concepts of design.
Right.
But then when I went to QM, the challenging part was how to apply the concept into actual design, basically. So it was challenging yet exciting because you get to see your work on rollouts, posters, you know. So it was a really challenging, exciting 12 years.
MashaAllah. It sounds exciting. Now, your new project, Sukoon, is centered on mindfulness and slowing down. How does this personal journey with Sukoon influence your professional work as a designer? And are there connections you see between creating a peaceful space and designing for a campaign like Dawam?
The first things I've faced with my career was to find my own style, basically. And with the fast-paced world, it was a bit difficult to find my style. So I wanted to pause a little bit just to reconnect with myself and like come up with designs or my own style, if that makes sense.
Right.
So Sukoon really helped me how to shape my scope of work, if that makes sense.
It does. I love, I'm looking into your eyes as you're speaking about, your career in graphic design. I can see the spark and the passion behind it. So I really love that. Now, before we take a break, very quickly want to dive into the Dawam campaign, which is incredibly impactful because of its simplicity. So can you talk about the initial creative strategy and why the decision was made to use just one powerful word to launch the campaign?
Okay, I'll walk through the campaign, how it started, basically. So it was actually a job interview. But Ahmed Al-Harban from Qatar Charity, he called me. He was like, you know what, let's put the job interview on the side. We have an urgent campaign. Are you in? Can you do it in like 2 weeks? And he was like, we just want to mention the word Dawam. We all know Dawam means work.
Right.
And it also means the continuity of doing good.
Right, consistency.
Yes. So it was a really passionate project, and I really did it with love and passion. So it came out very... I don't know how to explain, but it was like a huge campaign that we didn't even expect that it will be that huge.
Right. The virality of it was completely unexpected to you guys. And honestly, I completely understand. I didn't even notice the billboards. I think maybe when I'm driving, I'm very one-track minded. I'm just looking at the road. But after hearing about it, then I started noticing, oh wow, yeah, the billboards are actually everywhere in the country. Now, the campaign. Right? It had this brilliant duality. It's both a brand for continuous giving and an actionable call to charity. So how did your team balance those two goals in the design, and what were the key elements that tied them together?
So basically, as I mentioned before, they came to me saying that we only want to mention the word Dawam since everyone is back to work. So I was like, okay, just give me a few days to come up with 3 concepts. I'm not sure if you can notice the calendar behind the word Dawam. So I wanted to link the idea of calendar because everyone has a calendar and to-do list. So I wanted to link the actual word, which is Dawam, work, to the calendar as in a continuity of doing good. So you should add the continuity of doing good to the calendar too, if that makes sense.
It does. I love that. It's very simple but very powerful as well, the message. And like if you look at it that close, and for our listeners who are now getting the background to it, now they're going to look at it with a different set of eyes.
Exactly.
So yeah, it does make a lot of sense. Now, did you and the team ever anticipate just how viral the Dawam campaign would become? And what do you think were the key ingredients that made it resonate so deeply with the public as well as spread so quickly?
We had a lot. When we started doing the campaign, I don't think any one of us had an expectation of how it will be viral.
Right.
So the funny story that we weren't supposed to reveal in 2 days, we were supposed to reveal in 1 week. But since it got really viral and it got misconceptions, like everyone commented, they thought it's a job application. So we had to reveal before it gets bigger.
Right.
And what I've heard from the comments, that the main element that made it really viral is because the bold is like a little bit vintage, and the background was red, so it's like in your face.
Very strong.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like when it first came out, I think a lot of people started to panic because they're like, what does Dawam mean?
Exactly.
But yeah, I would have never thought that, the word has that much duality, because in Arabic, the word Dawam is, like we said, so often used for things like work or school. Now, what was the public's reaction when they realized that the campaign was about continuity in doing good rather than just attendance? And how did it feel to see people embrace that deeper meaning that you guys were going for?
You're not gonna have everyone on your side.
Of course not.
A lot of them like the breaking rules design. So they like the idea of the plot twist. But most of them, they don't like the change. So it was a bit challenging that they accept the idea of, Dawam as in work to the continuity of doing good.
Right.
So most of them liked it. The other half, actually, they didn't like the idea of not having the full picture straight in the face, if that makes sense.
They would have preferred if the message was just there from the beginning rather than playing a guessing game of what it was.
Exactly.
I think that's what made it so fun, though, not knowing and the anticipation. Maybe because I just love suspense and anticipation. But yeah, I think that's what made it super, super fun. Now, before we take a quick break, given the success of Dawam and the launch of Sukoon, what's next for you professionally? Are you looking to bridge the world of cultural design, social campaigns, and personal wellness more directly?
I've noticed after Dawam campaign that I really am into awareness. So I'm gonna use the power of design to create awareness, whether for mindfulness or just to create awareness for the whole world. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you want to create awareness more internationally.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's great to start obviously locally in your neighborhood, in your country first, and then take it international. I think that's an amazing plan as well. But I think one thing that our listeners might be curious about is, right, you have your job with Qatar Museums, and we've mentioned you've been there for nearly 13 years. So how do you balance, a professional career in Qatar Museums as well as an artistic career outside of that?
Okay, so basically I lived abroad while I was working with Qatar Museum. I had to leave and live abroad with my 2 kids. So while I stopped working for QM, I was like, okay, I need to do something. I need to create projects while I was abroad. And then I did like freelancing, several projects, and then when I came back, I started Sukoon Space, and then I was still like trying to figure out how should I like do the things I love while having a professional career. And then Dawam came, and then I was like, okay, you know what? This is the road that I want to go.
Right. This is the next move.
Exactly.
And that's how you decided that. Now, how do you balance that with being a mother of two on top of that, right?
It's challenging, yani it's really challenging, but I noticed that when I do the things I love, it's like a fuel, and it makes me go through the day with the kids, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
So I love doing what I'm doing, and it gives me an extra credit just to give them, or to be able to give them
what the energy they deserve from you.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's really beautiful. I love that. Again, like I mentioned earlier, talking to you and seeing you talk about your journey, I can see the spark in your eyes. And that's how you know someone is truly passionate and, you know, they truly love what they do. Because, you know, our parents always told us growing up, do what you love, so then it doesn't feel like work, right?
Yeah.
I bet that's how it feels for you.
So.
All right, amazing. Now, we have a question about Sukoon and, you know, what inspired the creation of it and what does the name represent to you?
Okay, so I mentioned before in Voices of Qatar that when I lived abroad, I noticed the fast-paced world. So I wanted to have like my own corner, my own time to focus on myself, to reconnect and recharge myself, to be able to give others, if that makes sense. So when I came back, I was like, okay, I think it's a movement, or I should raise an awareness regarding that, so people would know that you all need to recharge yourself by having your me time, reconnecting with yourself, knowing yourself to be able to give, contribute in the world. And
right.
Yeah.
No, for sure. You have to take care of yourself before anything else, right? They always tell you in the airplane, put your mask on before putting your children's on, right?
Exactly.
So it definitely is wonderful that you've created such a space for people to just come and let loose a little bit. Now, what is the most creatively fulfilling project that you've ever worked on?
Other than Dawam.
Other than Dawam.
I've worked on Picasso Giacometti at QM. It was a really amazing exhibition at Fire Station. And I worked on it from scratch. So it was challenging. And people, when they gave me good comments about it, it was amazing, actually, remembering it.
Oh, I love that. That's so cute. Now, before we take a break, this is a question I think everybody has for almost every creative that steps foot into this studio, which is, how do you overcome creative blocks or burnout?
By having your own Sukoon space. So by having your space, reconnecting again with yourself, knowing yourself, doing things out of the box.
Right.
So you don't have to keep pushing to get ideas, but maybe you just have to relax and be with yourself. That would help.
All right. I love that. Very sound advice. And I think what I'm liking about this conversation is, you know, a lot of what you're saying sounds very simple, but it carries a lot of value and meaning behind it. So I just wanted you to know you speak very eloquently. And I know you were nervous about coming on air, but you're doing amazing. And yeah, again, I think what I really am enjoying is that very simplistic answers, but so much depth behind them.
And it's not easy to do them,
it's
actually.
Not, no.
It's really difficult, yani. I'm telling you, but I have to go through a lot just to be able to come up with this idea.
Right. No, honestly, it feels effortless, to be honest. You do it very, very well.
Thank you very much.
Do you believe that design can drive social change?
Yeah, of course.
And if so, in what ways?
Of course. Dawam is a huge example. Yani. We had a campaign that talks about keep doing good, but it has nothing to do with it. So we had the plot twist, and people thought about something, but it was like a bigger image of just work. So yeah, it does change the idea. and يعني the way you choose even the font, the color, it has a really
everything comes together to create a bigger picture.
Exactly. So yeah, I do believe in that.
All right. Now, I want to ask, was there a moment during the Dawam campaign, maybe before you guys launched, where you sat back and you were like, is this going to work?
Okay, let me take you before Dawam campaign. So basically, I was going through a lot, finding myself, finding my passion, and I was like questioning, like, what should I do for my career? What should I do with my personal life and me as a designer? And then Dawam came, and then it was like a huge sign for me that, you know what, Ahood, this is your time to shine.
Right.
Even though I didn't expect it's going to be this big, but I was like working with it with passion and love, and I noticed that I really love creating awareness. So from that campaign, I felt like, okay, we need to push as much as we can, and we need to let them approve on one of the concepts that I am creating. So from that moment, I felt like, yeah.
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 I love that. Now, our final question for you is, if you were talking to a young designer that is looking at your career journey, what is the single most important piece of advice that you can offer them about finding meaningful work that combines professional success with personal purpose? For example, like, I'm sure you found a lot of professional success and personal purpose with Sukoon, for example, right?
Yeah.
So what would you tell young designers that, want to be like you when they grow up, essentially?
Don't be afraid of taking risks, and you should first know yourself and reconnect with yourself to know your style.
Right.
And take whatever challenge that comes to you and just express yourself without being afraid of people's comments or judgments, if that makes sense. So taking risks and knowing yourself is the main purpose for every designer. It should be the main purpose for them, is just know yourself.
Right.
And then express.
And then express.
Yes.
Know yourself
and then express.
I like it. I love it a lot. Thank you so much for joining us, Ahood, and taking time out of your day to speak to us about your campaigns and your journey as a creative, leading the scenes in Qatar. So we truly appreciate you being here. Maybe you didn't have a choice because of Asma. So shout out to Asma.
Thank you, Asma.
But yeah, we truly appreciate having you here again in the studio. It was such a pleasure to speak to you today.
Thank you very much for having me. It was really a pleasure, and I'll do it more.
Hopefully. Yeah, we
Hopefully.
can definitely bring you back. I would love that. So make sure to tune in and always keep it locked to QBS Radio. And if you want to keep it locked even when you're not in your car, then you can definitely do so via the Tabe app. It's spelled Tabie. You can get all the radio stations, especially your favorite QBS Radio, on the Tabe app. Or you can listen via our website, www.qbsradio.qa. For now, though, it's about time I start saying goodbye. So I want to give a big shout out to our team today. From our technician Hisham to the news team for the 1 p.m. bulletin. We'll be joined again by the news team in about 6 minutes for the 3 p.m. news summary. Also want to give a big shout out to Tom and Huda today for keeping it locked with the other shows. And of course, our very special guest, Ahood Al-Tawil, for making some time for us for today's interview. And with all that being said, I will see you guys next week, same time, same place, right here on the Midday Show. See you guys on Sunday.